Is it on?
It's on.
Episode 6.
Six.
Seis. We've got another guest today, guys. We've got another guest today. Who are we joined by? Who's joining us?
Sabbath.
Sabbath. And what does Sabbath do?
Jiu-jitsu, brother.
Jiu-jitsu, bruv.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Sabbath.
Sound it out, man.
Smirnik.
Smreknik.
Smirnik. Something. SM.
What are the last name for?
SMRECNIK.
Nice.
This guy's Egyptian. He should. It's not Egyptian,
It's
but
not
I just kind of
Egyptian,
foreign people. I just thought you'd be able to.
It's not bird.
No.
It's not bird, dog, cat.
I could draw some pictures. You might get it.
Yes, please. Yes,
The
please.
sun,
Yes, please.
water.
Okay. Let's get started. Sabbath. Why don't you give a bit of background to people that don't know you? I'm sure people do know you. Where do you train at? How long have you been training for? Yeah, go ahead.
I've been training for about 14 years now. I started when I was 7. That was at a formerly Infinity Martial Arts down at Springfield. I was there the first week that they opened up. Since then, we've switched over to Hoya Martial Arts now, collectively under T Jiu-Jitsu as well, under Tyrone Coppage up in Sunny Coast. So that's where I've been the whole time. I've done a fair bit of training with all of you guys all over the place, but that's sort of been home gym for as long as since I started. Yeah.
I was going to ask as well when we first started. So it was an Infinity. Who was head coach at that Infinity at the time? Was it still Jay or?
At Springfield, it
Yeah.
was a bloke called Eduardo. I have no idea where he went. I think he had some visa issues. And yeah, I think he was Brazilian. I don't know what went on there. And then
I don't know. He's got a name Eduardo, but it doesn't sound like a Brazilian name. No.
yeah, bro. And then he took off after like a year. And then we had a few people come in. So the head coach of Infinity at the time was Neil Owen from UK. And Neil's the one who kicked it off in Australia, and he started up all the Infinities. He moved back to the UK like 2019-ish, and then officially moved away from Infinity to sort of run his thing over there. And so he came in and did some sessions. I think we had a few of the other guys that went on to have their own academies as well, like Pat Cronin and Sam Landy as well. And then following that, we had a fella called Nathan, who's doing some interesting things now. And then we had a Ryan Creary, who taught for a few years. I think he's possibly down Goldie at the moment. He was down at Flow for a while there, and then I think he's off somewhere else in that area at the moment. And then following Ryan, we had T, and T was there for 8 years or so, and then he moved up. He was originally from Sunny Coast, or he was originally from Perth, I think, came over, and then he moved back up there and started an Infinity up in the Sunny Coast, the Aura.
Yeah.
And when he took off, JJ was already teaching at Springfield as well, and he took over as head coach. And then when both of us moved away from Infinity, we just affiliated with each other.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. That's pretty good. What would you say, like, coming up, like, as a kid, when did you decide, like, were you fairly competitive from the get-go, or is it like, I'll train this will just be fun?
Yeah, no, it wasn't, because I was so young when my parents first got me into it. I think I was doing swimming before that. And then, like 7, I was sick of it, and I was trying to get out of it. And then they were like, I spent a couple months not doing anything. I was a bit of a lazy kid. And then I think parents were like, oh, we'll do something self-defense kind of oriented. I think Dad used to watch a bit of the UFC, and he was like, Jiu-Jitsu
classic.
sounds good. Exactly. And then because the gym was opening up, it was like local shopping center advertising, and they were like, oh, let's get into it. For years, bro, it was just like, you got to go twice a week, we're paying for it, you got to do a sport, and I was doing it like that. I think around maybe like 12, 13, I was starting to do some cross-training. We had it at Infinity over at Ipswich, which was only 20 minutes away, so I was doing some sessions over there with those guys, and it probably wasn't until like 13, 14, like I was a chubby kid, and then I lost a bunch of weight and started actually competing at what I probably should have been weighing and training a bit more. Started working in the adults classes as well, like 13, 14, and then got a lot better. And then seeing those results, I was training a lot more, competing a lot more, and actually doing quite well. And then that...
Yeah, you won Pan Packs, right?
Yeah,
as kids, well?
yeah, a few, like 2 times, I think. And then 3 times, actually. I was a child, though, Brad. I don't know if it counts. And then after that, and I was starting to do a fair bit better, it just sort of like I took it on myself to want to train. And then from there on, I basically was just sort of pushing myself to do jiu-jitsu, and that became a passion then, rather than just something I was doing. And then from then on, and that probably became more so as I got a bit older, later in the teen years and that, which was when I was training a fair bit.
Well, that's when I first met you. I met you at a GI. I competed against you, and you were like 16,
Yeah, that was
17.
awful, brother.
Nah, but dude, it was. I was like, holy fuck, this kid's like only 16, 17. He's a purple belt already. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, wow. And like, dude, the technique, like, obviously I won, but like, dude, man, like, you had really good technique. It was like, it really like opened my eye. And then I think 6 months later, I trained with you again. I rolled with you again at Lemos when I think it was like No Gis, No Worries was around. Yep. That movement or whatever it was. That was a massive open mat. I remember that one. And I was like, holy fuck! Like just the progression, just
like 150 people there as well.
Yeah, that was a funny as one. I remember that day. But it was like, dude, like just the progression was so fast within a short amount of time. I was like, wow, this kid is actually scary.
It's funny, man, because obviously most people know who you are in Brisbane. Jiu-Jitsu is a relatively small community. You're competing a lot. Everyone that I've sort of trained with has trained with you maybe once before, competed against you. And so it's real funny when I'm like, oh yeah, no, my first competition at Purple Belt was with Jimmy. And everyone's like, oh, that's rough, bro. And it was. But I think that kicked off probably the reason there was such a quick progression is that kind of kicked off my cross training. So
dude, you went
after
around
the session with you,
everywhere.
yeah, exactly. So after competing against you, I think I asked you about like a Victor roll that you tried to hit on me in the match, or that you hit and then I turned out a leg lock. And you're like, oh, bro, come train. And then I came and I trained at Open Mat, BJJ, and we did a session there. And Max Dettel was there as well. And Max was like, oh, bro, come train with us at Lemos in like our comp class. So I think I did like a session on a Wednesday night with Bruno. And then I did the Saturday session with what's his name? Yeah, exactly, Dettel. And then, because I had been to Lemos once or twice, then they had the No-Gi, No Worries. And so I did that session. And then I rolled Dev there, because I saw him and I was like, oh, 10th Planet guy, I'm going to have a round with Dev. And we just had an awesome roll. And he was super nice. And he's like, oh, come train 10th Planet. And then I went to 10th Planet. And I was training there. And obviously everyone was starting to work the wrestling at that sort of level as well. And previously, Dom Marfan up at Compton was working, or he was training initially at an Infinity at East Brisbane. And I'd rolled him once when he was like a blue belt and I was like a green belt. And then JJ, head coach at Springfield, when he was fighting MMA, he was training over at Compton. And so there was a connection there. And I think Dom was coming up to a fight and he messaged Jay and just said, hey, is Sabbath any good at wrestling? Would he be keen to come up and just get some rounds in? And I was like, no, but I'll come. And so I went and I did some rounds with Dom, and then I was like, this sucks so much, I need to wrestle more. So I started doing the Friday night sessions there. And then
Is that who you learned wrestling from?
Yeah.
Dom mainly?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dom's responsible for pretty much the most of my wrestling ability.
Bro, we didn't even just quick also.
Yeah.
How old are you?
21.
And what belt are you?
Black.
Yeah. And then when? Yeah. Okay.
What's that, man? I was 20. Yeah, it was start of last year, so it was just after I turned 20.
And you started training at what age?
7.
So 7. So, been in the game for a bit, yeah? Just to give a bit of people context, because I think people actually don't know how good you are. And I like, you know... They don't. Yeah, I
Bro, the first time Steven trained with Sabbath, all I would hear is Steven glazing about Sabbath every time. And I'm like, bro, I know Sabbath's good. I've rolled with him. You don't have to tell me. Yeah, I know how good he is. But he was telling me like I had no idea. I was like,
I think you came in one night. I think you and your friend came in one night. And I was like, oh fuck, because Steven just started training here and we're doing positional together. And I remember saying to you that night, I said, make sure you fucking cook that cunt over there, bro. Because I said, I'm gonna tell you now, once you fuck him up, I'm never gonna hear the end of it. I'm never gonna hear the end of it. Man. But after that session, bro, I'm driving home, phone call, Stephen go, just, bro, stuff that guy. Stuff that guy.
No, but legit, man.
Making niggas lose sleep.
It's actually crazy how. And it's just, I remember we were sitting down and having breakfast, and I don't think the person will watch this, yeah. But I was like, oh, 2 black belts, and then he was like, oh, you've been a black belt for like a year, and he was like, I think it was a bit of like, you know, I've been a black belt for ages. Yeah. I'm like, bro, this guy Sabbath knows probably way more than most black belts. Yeah, it's like, you know, one of those things. I'm like, bro, I'd be learning off Sabbath way more. Like, yeah.
Here's another thing as well. That's right.
Yeah.
So for you, like obviously the black belt or just the belt is like the blue tick, right? Just to verify, okay, he is this belt. When did you, in your head, you're like, yeah, I'm a black belt now? Like before the black belt even happened? Was it purple? Was it mid-purple for you?
I don't know, because it's one of those things where I'm like, since pretty early on, the belts didn't mean that much. Like, I think it probably came from being a kid and training like 10 years, and you're like an orange belt. And the IBJJF won't let you go to a green belt because you're not like this age. Or then you hit green and you're like competing with, well, I wasn't competing with blues at the time because it was COVID, so I couldn't compete for that gap in between like green and blue. But you're rolling with guys that are purples and browns, and you're like, what does it sort of mean? And so I think when I went to blue, and then as well looking at guys at a high level, and you're like, I think Gordon was winning huge matches at purple. And you had like, and it was becoming sort of a thing, particularly in no-gi as well. And it was like, the belts don't really mean that much, maybe personally, but not with respect to everyone else. But then I guess there's still a little bit, like I think everyone's like, oh, you still feel good when you get a new belt. I think at blue, I was sort of like, the blue's just the step after green, like that's sort of where you're supposed to go. And I think it was the immediate grading after blue that I got my purple. And that was sort of like, okay, I feel like I'm supposed to be here, because I think being a bit smaller, still being pretty young, like 16 years old, or I was 17 at the time. I didn't have that man strength, and so I was like, if I'm competing at purple, they're going to be tough matches, and they were. Obviously, I had Jimmy. So
You won the gi, right?
yeah, I won gi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I do look back on that though, and I'm like, I was pretty crap, bro. But
I remember, I think we went to a Lachlan Giles seminar, and there was like rolling afterwards. I think you must have been like still blue belt.
Oh,
I think,
yeah,
so
yeah,
16.
yep.
I remember like savages are running through all the adults, and then everyone was like kind of on the side, like, who the fuck is this kid just fucking wrecking everyone?
Yeah.
So,
well, I reckon like once I hit brown, I was like purple. I felt I was good there, and then I think I started to get a fair bit better at purple because I was training a bit more. Because that was, as I said, I started cross training after that, and so at brown I was sort of like, I don't care. Brown black doesn't matter now, because it's like you train with anyone that's brown, like it's just expected that they could be good enough to compete and have hard matches with black belts. And I guess, still looking back on it, I'm like, how much does it really matter? But it was cool. And then getting the black belt, of course, was a cool thing. Because it's like,
100%,
you started as like a 7-8-year-old kid. It's like, I want to be a black belt one day. But having it was just a nice, probably more from like a teaching perspective. Like, I know the people I'm competing against and all of you guys, like at this level, no one cares. It's just about how much skill you actually have. But from like a coaching perspective, it just kind of, I think people have that.
it's like an easy way to get that respect.
Exactly,
like someone
as
walks
well.
through the door, they have no idea. It's like, oh, that's a black belt.
Exactly. And
Especially as a young black belt, like when I'm,
Exactly.
like I think fairly young maybe.
You are what,
When I went to
25?
Japan, it's like
25, 26?
yeah, 26. But I remember going to Japan and like if you're a young black belt, it's kind of like, oh shit, that's like pretty cool.
And I mean, like, if you're going to train anywhere else in the world, it's like, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
It's like, oh,
They
shit.
could look at it and be like, are you a money bag?
Yeah,
Black belt, or are
exactly.
you-
Derek Moneyberg black belt.
But-
black belt.
But for the most part, I think it's sort of like, okay, at least give this guy the time of day. And then,
But you've been doing it for a while.
well, that's the
you
thing.
know,
Like, I'm
since
going to have a
seven.
role and not be
Yeah.
awful. So
Yes,
they're going to.
yeah, exactly. But, okay, back to the question. So, Dom, wrestling, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, that's where you mainly
Yeah, I think so. Because I started trying to wrestle a little bit more. Like, I learned some basic jiu-jitsu takedowns early on, and then started trying to put that into practice a little bit. And, like JJ showed me some stuff, and I was doing a bit of tape study as well. I was watching matches, watching instructionals and stuff. I don't really remember too much of that early stages of my wrestling. And then I did like a 4-day camp down with Isaac Michelle in Bondi, and that was sweet because he ran through some cool stuff. A lot of upper body like slide bys and getting to the body lock and stuff like that I still use a lot today, and that pretty heavily influenced a lot of my wrestling. I took that back. I was working on that a bit with Devin at 10th Planet. But after I started training with Dom, I was like, there's levels to this, bro. Because I was just getting cooked in the wrestling. And so I just started training every Friday with Dom and then, doing a lot of rounds with him, particularly leading up to his fights. And I got much, much better. And what I took from that was like, I'm getting pumped every time with Dom, but my ability to wrestle relative to the other jiu-jitsu guys was getting way better, way quicker. Like all the cross-training sessions I was doing, I was way more confident. I just felt like people couldn't take me down. The defense was a lot better. And so I was like, even if that's not translating to me starting to hit moves on Dom, like that didn't matter because just working at that intensity and taking on board the stuff that he was talking about, just compared to everyone else, took me way higher. So I think that was most of that improvement.
I remember because me and Steven did a few private lessons with Dom to like learn wrestling, and that I find that helped me a lot as well. And I remember asking him about you, and I think he said, yeah, at the pace that you're going, like it wouldn't surprise Dom if like maybe you overtook him or like got to the
Not
same
yet, bro,
level.
but
Yeah, so that's a big compliment.
I think a good thing is like
a lot of troubles as well because I think before he jumped in for Road to UFC, the guy he was supposed to fight, that Japanese guy, originally pulled out. But I remember going there and wrestling with him a few times, and he was asking me because there was some problems you were presenting him with. He's like, Sabbath always gets me here. He's on my back, and going like body triangle, power half, etc. And he's like, how will I deal with this? I'm like, well, like grab the knee, shake him off and stuff like that, start swimming. And I was like, but I said, if Sabbath was to do this to me, I probably would be fucked up. But I said, but if we were just to remove that and just look at the problem itself, this is how it's solved. But I was like, and he's like, it's been giving me trouble. And I'm not surprised.
Yeah, because I think
surprised one bit.
when we were just like pure wrestling rounds with Dom are just miserable, but it's still awesome to get those rounds in. Once we started to integrate, because he wanted to work on that stuff specifically for grappling, so that we'd do rounds where he'd start from like bottom half and he'd just try to work back to his feet. Once I could integrate a lot of the back take stuff, I was causing a lot more problems for him. And I mean, to be expected, because that's probably where I've spent the most of my time in grappling, is working attacks from the back. Yeah, just getting to the back from everywhere. Once I'm there, being very confident in finishing. And then, but Dom's good. His grappling in general is pretty good too, man. Like he's miserable to be underneath of once he's on top. So the biggest problem, I remember if we do like open rounds, the biggest problem I have with Dom, you can't take him down, or the likelihood of you taking him down is like 99 out of 100 times you're the one on the ground. Once he's on top, he's awfully difficult to sweep. You could try and enter into his legs, I think is probably your best bet.
It is.
But sweeping is very hard. He's very square and solid base. On bottom, he's good at getting back up. So, but the problem is like you don't get on top because you can't take him down, you can't sweep him. So you've kind of got to work your way to the back onto the legs. But again, he's good at dealing with those sorts of things. And once you consider the context in which he's grappling, which is when he can elbow you in the face, that makes things very different as well.
I think it's going to be so scary too because you're just 21 right now, so you haven't even developed all your strength. Like so. Once
I don't know, bro.
that,
I'm pretty strong.
And are you even taking grappling seriously? That's the thing. You're not.
Are you talking about the grappling supplements, bro?
No. Like just seriously in a sense where like, it's not. It's like it's a part of your life, but it's not. It's not your livelihood. It's not your. It's not your career.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like you're doing other things, and it's like, jitsu's like,
Yeah.
What is the other thing you're doing?
I'll come back to that. And he's like, I'm like, why do you want to compete? And he's like, I'm all good, eh? Like, it's still there, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's sort of where I'm at the moment because it's I don't intend on doing it for a career or making a livelihood out of it, but it's something that I intend on doing forever. Like I love the sport. Yeah, exactly. So I want to always be able to do it. I want to be good at it. I want to continue to improve. It's not as much of a priority as it was at one point in my life when I had just less stuff going on. But I'm working at the moment. I'm in university.
You're studying physio. Graduating
physiotherapy. I graduate end of this year.
Yeah.
All sorts of other stuff going on. So it's like, it's a
Yeah.
mandatory training because I teach twice a week. So I'm like, I have to be in for those rounds. I get in the extra rounds when I can, and then I try and keep in some strength and conditioning as well. But that fills a lot of time, and like I'm 7 days a week sort of thing. So
I was gonna ask as well. You're teaching. How is teaching for you? Like, how do you find it? Like, is it very fulfilling? Is it a fulfilling aspect of jiu-jitsu for you?
yeah, I quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's good. It's
Because I've just seen all the stuff you put up. You put up some really good stuff, like on your other Instagram. Your Sabbath rolls, and even just showing the technique, or just like round 70 something. Like if you just like beating up people,
haven't
and I'm
done it
like,
for a while, but
I
I
was
will,
like, fuck, good thing I don't pop in there. I'll probably end up on the fucking highlight reel, and I'll be like, oh.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I enjoyed doing that. But the teaching's good, man. Like it's fulfilling. It's a cool opportunity to add some value because you've got so many people that are there to listen. The good thing about jiu-jitsu is, if they're in class, they want to get better. It's very rare that you come to jiu-jitsu and they aren't interested in learning jiu-jitsu.
Unless they're children.
Yeah, it's like, like a school teacher, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, no one wants to be there. It's like everyone's paying to be here. Unless you got kids. But I did a few years teaching kids, which is still cool. I do prefer teaching adults. It feels like less of a job, because you're not having to control chaos. But no, it's good, man. I do enjoy it. It doesn't feel like a job. You know what I mean? That's the cool thing about it. You're just getting paid to go teach jits and train. And so, yeah, it's good. But I started moving into teaching adults and I was quite enjoying it. I like being able to teach to a higher level from a cognitive perspective as well. So I try to, as much as possible, avoid, because we don't have beginner classes, advanced classes, we just have your jiu-jitsu class. I'm playing with I've played with a few different styles of teaching over time, but I'm trying to avoid so much of like teaching, look at the class and goes a fair few white belts, I'm going to teach like a beginner move. Because I just see it as you've got fundamental moves. It doesn't mean easy or hard. I just see it as like, if you're in a position, what is fundamental to the position? Like you have to have some sort of fundamental fashion of balancing in different directions. You've got to have some sort of sweeping or submitting opportunities from here. So whether it's more complex of a movement or not, I don't care. I'm just going to try and teach everyone. It just might be the way I break it down, I guess. But yeah, like it doesn't feel like a job, man. It's just coming in, talking about jits and then getting rounds in. So
I was going to ask, because you touched on the point of you made a conscious decision that jiu-jitsu wasn't going to be your career. When did you make that? When did the switch occur? And what was the reasoning? Because you're at an age and you've been in it for a while where I would say like you had or have a great opportunity to potentially make this your career. What resulted in the switch?
I don't know if I ever intended on making a career out of jiu-jitsu.
I think it's the biggest boss move though. Just knowing you can't really get enough.
Yeah, like the Brian Glick style type of. I think, remember as well, because for the first half of my jiu-jitsu career, probably three quarters of it so far, there was no money in jiu-jitsu. It's like you couldn't make a career out of it anyway. Even now, I think, and then it's sort of a double-edged sword, because originally the talent pool was small, but there was no money in it, because there's no attention. Now there's so much attention in jiu-jitsu, but you've got a huge talent pool. So you look at some of the, like, I know I do well in rounds, and I probably do quite well competitively as well in Queensland, for example. But it's like, there's some good, like, we've got some very talented guys in Queensland. How many of them have won trials? Like Bob won trials. None of the other ones have. And that's not to say any of them are bad at jiu-jitsu, but there are levels and there is a very big talent pool now and it's ever growing as well. And then you compare between countries. It's like you've got to break it into one of the best to be paid. You've got to break, the best of the best to be making good money. And I still think if that's something that you want to do, by all means, there's opportunity. I remember when Danaher came and did a round of seminars, maybe last year or the year before, and I had a chat to him after. And he's like, I think Australia, Oceania, is going to be one of those key countries. Because obviously it started with just Brazil. It was like, if you weren't Brazilian, you're not winning anything. Yeah. And then it sort of shifted to the US. And now he's like, Europe/Australia, I think, is going to break out because they've got so much access to resources. And you've got some good gyms popping up and producing some good athletes. But I never felt like I was sort of limited in terms of opportunity. And so I always intended on going a few different pathways. I just don't think jiu-jitsu was ever one. Yeah. And now I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I've missed out on anything particular, but I don't know.
You could always come back to it.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask as well, favorite submission, favorite techniques as well. Standing, so standing, standing, whatever, but just pretty much submissions, takedowns, etc.
Yep. Standing, takedowns. Favorite's got to be just the classic like slide by. I prefer like a collar tie, other hand, like knuckles on the chest, and then just the inside of the elbow grip. Slide by. Yep.
Like, yeah, nice. Yeah, you're good at that. You're good at with you're doing the foot sweep with it as well.
Yeah.
That's
So
single. That's one of the first things that stood out for me. I think when I came back from surgery, I started trying to like up the training again after surgery, and it was like, but I came to Max's class and said, everybody ran to train on me, and dude, some of the wrestling you were doing to me was fucking criminal.
I remember that.
You're going slide by, and then like I'll defend, and then like you're using it to kick the foot sweep, and I'll try to defend, and then you like use that to like sweep single off it, and I'm like, fuck.
I remember that session.
I remember driving him.
You look very defeated.
Yeah, I came in for one of those sessions. I remember that.
Oh, I was limping by the end of that, and I was like,
I had to go to the bathroom. I'm like, I just got to go to the bathroom and catch my breath. I think it was after Sabbath.
Old school moves, bro.
That was a fuck session.
I've peed 3 times today, but I got to go again. Yeah, probably the slide bys I like from standing, just because I don't like shooting, man. It's too much effort. Yeah.
It's smart. It's efficient.
Yep.
And like over time, like the athleticism dies down. That's why you look at it. Like a lot of the really good wrestlers, when they age, they're just so good at hand fighting and
Yep.
just getting upper body grips and going to the legs from there, as opposed from like naked shots.
I
from, like,
still
neutral
catch
position.
myself sometimes in that mindset of like, I've got to be better at shooting. And I found when I started working on wrestling up from guard, I got a lot better at shooting because you were just comfortable. Like, you didn't lose out because if you took a shot and they kind of crushed you, you were already on the ground. Like,
Yeah,
you're in your
yeah,
bottom
yeah.
position. And then I got really comfortable being in the shot and chasing it and switching from a double to a single or whatever it was. But I do look at it now and I'm like, what's the point? You know, if you're going to grapple and it doesn't end with a pin or hips hitting the mat, whatever it is, yeah, better off just working from the upper body. But I like getting to the back from standing otherwise. A nice foot sweep, if I can time it well, is fun.
Is your rear naked choke favorite submission?
No, it's not. It's the highest success. It's the greatest thing to ever be invented in terms of beating people up. But it's just a no-arm smother from Mount.
Oh, really?
What would have said?
Have you hit Steven with that one
That
before?
smile makes it
Did you say I hit you with that?
What? Oh, yeah, you hit me with that a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever, man. I got it, Luke Martin, Sydney West coach. He hit me with it at a seminar, and I was like, brother, because before that I was trying to work like the arm in, the two arms,
Yeah.
and it's a lot harder to hit because you're not like because the arm's in it. You
What was it? Isaac seminar.
who was that?
Luke Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Luke hit it on me, and I was like, dude, that was ridiculous. Couldn't move at all. And then I just started hitting on people, and it was one of those things. It was like you guys were talking about wrist locks the other week. Like, you just keep doing it, bro. And you're like, I was trying to teach it to people, and they're like, oh, I don't really know where to put the head. And I was like, dude, I think I've done it so much that I have like the sensation in my chest of where your nose and your mouth needs to be, and it just feels right. And just hug you until you fall asleep. But that one's amazing. If we ever have anyone like Matt Enforcer style, bro, if everyone's at the gym and they're causing problems, or if they're a new guy come in, I'm like, I mount them and I hit them with that, and they stop it straight away. They knock that behavior off.
Not a citizen's arrest.
Nah, I reckon that's my go-to because it's so humiliating, bro. But otherwise, I don't know if you guys have seen T's crucifix,
Oh.
the Jesus choke.
Oh, is this the one? Is this the one with both legs?
Yeah.
I remember seeing him hit that like back
It's
in
not
like
a crucifix, what do we call it?
2017. It's like a leg Nelson.
Yeah.
Like it's like a full Nelson
Yeah.
with both legs, and then you do that at like an S.
Yep.
I remember seeing it like before I came.
Oh, we
over to
call it the
Brisbane.
torture rack.
He's hit it before, like in actual.
Yeah,
comp.
in competition.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
like you go like.
We gotta find it, man.
Sure.
I think
Oh.
it's
Show the viewers at
I think
home.
it's like this. You go like here, right? Here,
Yeah, yeah.
And this one, yeah. You
I
go,
can show you the setup if you want.
Bro, my freaking shoulders are gonna rip.
You need to have more flexy shoulders.
"Sah."
There's a way, so you can go to the torture rack, and if they push back into you, you wrap around the neck, you hit the choke, which is what he hit in competition. And then
Those are the
you've got
grappling injuries, right?
Yeah, it was like
I think I've seen a
ages ago.
viral clip of that.
Yeah. It does cycle, so it comes around every year or so. I just start tagging him and shit. But and then there's as an alternative, instead of being square with them, if they try to turn, you can go to like the Alcatraz, which is like a side-on position and their belly down. And then if they got real flexy shoulders, you can sit onto their back and their belly down, arms behind their back, and your feet across behind their head. And then you just grab their arms, and it's like the gunner, you know, the mounted, like the turret.
It's like the gun.
Yeah. And so you gotta fucking.
That sounds
That's all the bones that you just hear the limbs that pop.
Yeah, exactly.
terrible.
So that's a favorite.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of, that's not very. I don't hit it often, so
But when you do it,
it's pretty good.
That shit hit on you, bro. You're shit.
Yeah, man.
You're shit.
But just takedown and submission, or do you want guard passes, everything, bro?
No, I think you have a good one thing I was saying, like good knee cut. Good knee cut.
Body
I
lock.
think knee cut, knee cut, yeah.
Yep.
Catching people in the in between when that
Yep.
position where they're not
Yeah.
sitting up in supine, but just this position here.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're basically like a Beyblade at that point.
Yeah, I like playing like a. I've been mixing a bit of, like Joseph Chen's sort of high tripod style, a bit of Dom's kind of A-frame passing as well, where he just sort of shoots in.
So that's the thing. Dom does do a type of
Yeah.
tripod style. Like, do you remember? I remember.
He comes in level and he gets his head under your chin though, so he can
And
keep
so
himself
he-
real chest to chest, sort of. So I've been playing like a mix of that and a few other things, and then sort of playing with like dragging the legs into position and keeping their hips off center. So if they're playing square butterfly hooks, I'll drag so that they're almost as if you were sitting in headquarters, like their hips shift 90 degrees. And so I just keep them on one side and then like smash pass, otherwise cut to the other side. I find that's a super effective way to pass, and they also can't get up because you're on top of them.
What is it? I was gonna say, if anyone actually has the chance to roll Sabbath, like highly recommend. It's very technical. I would say like you barely use like obviously.
Just all strength. I don't know what in jiu-jitsu.
No. That was one thing I like.
Definitely one of the most technical
Yeah.
roles you will get.
Yeah, for sure. Like even when we're
In
rolling.
the country as well, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like, yeah, he could come in off the street and be like, hey guys.
I find that one thing I noticed, like
Fight on the
you have-
street.
You have reasons for most things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably something that I like about Devon as well. It feels very much that way.
Yeah.
It's like every grip, everything has a purpose, which especially with some of my guys, if they're wanting to get a lot better, that's some of the advice I'll give. I'm like, don't just be doing things for the sake of doing them. Like if you make a grip, there's a reason you've taken that grip, and just consider why and how is there a better grip you could make. Once everything has a purpose, you'll feel a little bit more efficient when you roll as well, because you're not just throwing stuff out there. Yeah, and I think I'm coming to, so I've been in that sort of phase where it was purely like that, and now I'm sort of coming to a mix of like considering every aspect of the role, what I'm doing, what reactions they might give, how I'm going to respond, and also a little bit of that flow state style thing as well. Because I think that in your wrestling seems to be really effective. I think it's just a little bit more chaotic, the wrestling, as opposed to jiu-jitsu. So I think a mix of like being able to kind of enter we're just moving and I'm just responding, and then I'm also very cognizant of what's happening.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say also. So you've been wrestling with Dom. How many days did you invest into that? Every Friday?
Yeah, I was trying to go every Friday.
I've got to run.
Keep going, guys, because I got to go hit some pads.
Hit some pads.
Yeah, I got to go hit some pads in like
Yes,
15.
What combinations are you gonna throw?
I'm gonna do a lot of boxing today, but I want to practice my inside slip. Yeah,
Can we see a demonstration?
No. The thing I'm gonna be doing now is I'm gonna be slipping out of here. Anyways, continue, guys.
Yes, sir.
See you, Bob.
I was gonna ask you, how was training with Minjin? Because it seemed like when you were coming up, like you guys were like really good training partners. Maybe
Say
like
Minjin?
similar size. Yeah, Minjin.
Yeah, good. I haven't trained with her for a long time, but it was good, man, because we were the same size.
Yeah,
It was like
exactly.
I was a child.
And she's someone who's very, very skilled. Like,
Yeah.
if you roll with Minjin, like she's so good.
Yeah. No, that was fun. We always had good rounds. I think we rolled together quite a lot when I was probably like 14, 15-ish.
Yeah.
14. So it was good, like similar size, very technical. So those were good fun rolls. And then you could have more scrappy rolls with some of the bigger fellas.
Yeah.
So I like that mix. That's why I like a training room with, smaller dudes and then also bigger guys. Because particularly when there is a bit of a skill gap, because most of I'm coaching there. So it's like, all the guys, there is a skill gap between myself and them. You've got guys that are a bit about my size, and you can have much more technical roles. And then some of the bigger fellas, it's like you can really make it a bit of a physical sort of scrap as well, and still have the upper hand, because in transitions you're always going to hit better moves, you're going to respond quicker, but you get to push a little bit of that physicality because they've kind of got the upper hand from a physical perspective, so that makes it quite fun.
Will you ever pull guard if they're too big, too strong?
Not now.
No, yeah,
No, I
respect
used to.
that.
I used to. Now I'm confident enough that it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your jiu-jitsu's changed in a sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
The wrestling made a big difference, particularly from a mat wrestling perspective as well.
Yep.
Because it's like I'm more comfortable playing from turtle and just starting to build back up. And it's like,
sure.
I think most people quite struggle with just keeping someone down. So if you just start trying to build up to your feet, people freak out.
Yeah.
And then it's like you kind of open up a lot more opportunities for yourself.
For sure.
But I find the really big guys generally quite bad wrestlers.
Yeah.
That's granted, this is in Australia. I wouldn't try that in like Russia.
Do you adjust your wrestling if they are quite a bit bigger? I assume you're probably not going to be as willing to like shoot on them and stuff like that.
No, I'm not
you want to be
doing
like cutting angles.
I'm
and
not
stuff
crazy,
like that?
brother.
Yeah, I think when we've wrestled, like, because I'm obviously bigger than you, a bit more collar tying.
You're probably at
fatiguing
like
on there.
the line where I'm like, I don't want to shoot on you. You're big
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. But no, still, you still kill me. I was gonna say, so you wrestling with Dom every Friday. How many months did you have to commit to somewhat become competent or feel confident? Yeah?
I actually don't even know.
Yeah?
I can't remember.
I remember you telling me you went for like a year every Friday, but then I'm not sure if you like, because I've seen some of your scraps with him. They look like it's very mat heavy focus, but there was never a stage where you're like, oh, I feel pretty confident.
With Dom, No.
Well, I guess just in the wrestling in general.
In the wrestling in general, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on what level you're wrestling at. Like, honestly, I feel quite confident with most people that I wrestle with now.
Yeah.
I'd say Dom's probably one of the only people that and Kensai as well. Cause
Oh, yeah, I was
yes,
asking
yes,
about
yes,
Kensei.
yes.
What's-
don't ask me about Kensai, bro. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, the guy's jacked. Absolutely.
It's crazy. Yeah.
No English.
Him and Dom
whatsoever.
have really good scraps. That's fun to
Yes.
watch.
Yeah.
So
It would be sick to get like that guy's reaction. He's just been an athlete his whole life. Literally not a slither of English. European under 20 judo, like champ. And then like he's gone to a few judo gyms and they've asked him to teach. Like he just goes and kills them. It's nuts.
So what takedowns does he like hit in the
Uchimadas,
nogi?
man.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because
yeah.
everyone's running knee taps, singles, and he just keeps flipping everyone. Otherwise, he also has this thing where like, I don't think he needs an underhook. Whether he takes an underhook or you take an underhook and he just basically locks it to your body, he'll just step in with a body lock and just launch you. Like he just lifts you. His ability to like pop his hips and get you up in the air is really.
So even if you have the underhook, he
Oh
can
yeah, he
support
just
up.
like basically give you a hug and just pick you up.
For some metrics, this guy is like squatting like 160, deadlifting like 220. Like his numbers are ridiculous. Yeah, he's squatting like 160. I think he was telling me like 3 sets of 10, so it's pretty nuts.
3 sets of 10.
Yeah, he's pretty nuts. Yeah.
He definitely gets stitched up though, because like Aussie humor and this guy can't talk English, so
yeah,
it's like people just start saying stuff and he's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also terrifying, bro, because you'll be like, you want to roll, man? He goes, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, lift. Oh, no. That's not what we're doing
I'm
here.
so kind for the drop too. Like the
Oh, yeah,
he slows it down.
Very controlled, man. Like he'll put you up in the air, but I've never hit the ground hard with him.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those. It's terrifying, but you're also like, I feel safe.
Yeah.
You got me.
But so you're teaching at JJ Hua?
Yeah, Hoya Martial Arts. Yep.
Hoya
Down
Martial Arts.
Springfield.
And so have you found the fact, because you're teaching now, obviously you're quite better than everyone else, I'm assuming. Do you find that has altered the way you roll? Does it change the way you train? Has it affected your training worse, better? What do you find?
Not so much, because even when I was training a lot elsewhere, getting rounds with a bunch of high level guys, I was still doing every day at Hoya.
Yeah.
So it was still like I was doing 2 sessions a day sort of thing, 2 or 3. And so I'd always have at least 1 session would be with those guys. And then some days it would be 2 sessions there. And I've always said, I think that there should be, if not, like a 50-50 split, maybe like even a 60-40 or a 70-30 split where the majority of your training is with people that are a little bit worse than you. Just because particularly when you're trying to learn and work new techniques, and that might scale down and you could titrate it leading up to competition because you want that intensity. But in your like off season or between competition, absolutely you want time with people that are not as good as you, because even if you want to take it from like a positional sparring situation or even constraints-led approach, if there is a particular technique or sequence of movements, like something that you're trying to improve on, it's very hard to go and do it on someone that is as good, if not better than you. And so, it wouldn't take long, but if there was something new I was trying to work on, it's not like I go hit it on Devin or hit it on, I would need to have that time to work on it with everyone else. So that was like my learning time, basically. It was just working with those guys. And I think less so as you get better, because I'm sure you would be in the same boat where it's like, I could talk about a technique and you could probably visualize it and go and do it.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're early on, I think you do need those worse roles, because it's very difficult to do that. You can't even think about sort of what I'm saying, and that motor learning is a thing. Where I find now, it doesn't matter so much because I'm not trying to be the best. I just want to continue to improve. But I do find, because I try to make training enjoyable. So it's like just hitting bullshit, or you'll make mistakes, but it's okay because you're just having a bit of fun. If I was to compete, I'd up the volume of training I was doing, but I'd just change the way I was training as well. So the rounds would be very intentional. I'd try to limit how many mistakes I was making. I might put myself in a bad position to work out of it, but every move I then make would be with the purpose of it working. Like I wouldn't be doing
bit less
things
playful, bit more.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's the only difference, but I still can go and have some good rounds with guys. So I don't think, and I think just sprinkling in some good rounds with, whether it's open mats or seminars, whatever, and get rounds with good guys. Just kind of keeps you used to that.
Yeah.
On that thought of like trying to improve and try and get as good as possible, we were talking about it a bit before. How important do you find like studying tape or like watching instructional stuff? How much does that like help
I think
you?
it helps a lot. But I also think people learn differently. So I've had guys that are like, dude, I just can't sit through an instructional. And I'm like, fair enough, man. Because, you know, I kind of looked at it as what worked for me. And it was definitely, I would sit down and watch the instructional. And I'd watch the whole thing. Like, it was kind of insane. I would just put on 2 times speed and just like skip through while they're talking. Little bits. You know, not the important stuff. And I'd watch like the full 8 hours. And then I'd go to training that night and have a heap of issues. And I just kind of work through it over like a couple weeks. And then there'd be particular problems I was seeing. And then I would go back and I'd rewatch it and I'd find the parts because I'd forget things or I'd make like GIFs of the different techniques. And then I could scroll through and find the different ones, which that was quite helpful as well. And then what I'd always find is there was always particular things because you kind of expect it to just work, particularly if you're having success with other aspects of the system as well. Because a lot of it would be like Gordon stuff, right? So it's kind of an answer for everything. And then what I would do is why I really liked watching Gordon stuff is because he would work the system to advertise it and then release it. So that was his advertising strategy. So I'd be like, dude, he's got to have used this in a match. And then I just go back through like, when was this released? Like 2021. I watch all of his 2020 matches and I'd see him use the stuff. And I'd be like, okay, even he has this issue and he just responds by moving to this, or like this is something he maybe didn't talk about, but he's done something along these lines. So I'd then use the tape to facilitate the learning in a sense, or support it. But then in other cases as well, like I would just watch tape. Tape's a lot more enjoyable to watch than instructionals. But that gave me a nice foundation because I think at some point I was just kind of like, I just know some jiu-jitsu, but I don't have like set systems from every different position. So I went through and I tried to, it took me maybe like 2 years, and I'd just do like a couple months at a time. I've got to have like a system to guard pass and then play seated guard and supine, escaping, you know, pins and things like that. And once I'd done that, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to go back and do this all again, but I'll just pick and choose different things and kind of add it into what is already existing as like a thought process.
Yeah, because I remember watching a match with you and was it Brody Meucci? And I think that was in your seated guard era where it was like a lot of...
That was me just first learning leg locks.
Yeah, because
I'd
a lot of heel hook attempts, a lot of saddle entries and stuff like that.
I competed against Brody when I was a kid. And like him and his brother, man, they're awesome. They've got some good
Physical
grappling.
specimens.
Oh, dude, yeah, I reckon.
Sub me too, eh?
But I mean, they're all kind of MMA focused now. But I was like, oh, dude's gonna out wrestle me because I wasn't doing any wrestling at the time. And I was like, but probably not doing too much on the legs. And I was sort of interested in moving that direction anyway because I was like 16, and so I went, cool, I'll start to push in this direction here. So that's where I was starting to learn all the entries and sort of controlling position. And like I had particularly one close attempt on an inside heel hook, but I look back at it and I'm like, bro, it should have been game over like 9 times
Just
in
the
that
finishing
match.
mechanics.
Yeah,
not quite
exactly.
there
So
yet.
like, you know, I was still very fresh to it,
Yeah.
but I'd worked it for maybe like 2-3 months. And so I had enough to get into the positions, to make a few catches, but even some of the entries I look at, I'm like, oof, that was rough. And then some of the control was pretty poor as well. Like just couldn't hold a knee line, didn't really understand the entanglements very well. And the finishing mechanics were awful. But
especially when in training, like usually if you catch a heel, you're not going to rip it on.
Yeah.
And your partner's probably going to tap pretty early.
that's the other thing as well. Like, I think you would have just let the knee go.
Yeah, and then when you actually hit it in comp, you're ripping it, and you're like, "Fuck, he's not tapping here." And then they're still moving, they're still resisting. It's like, at least for me, it was like I've never really encountered like these reactions before because I've never tried to break my.
I mean, even if you look high level competition, like not every time, the technique when you drill it is obviously going to be quite tight. It's very hard for things to work out as perfectly in a live scenario. But even, you know, very high level competitors. I mean, look at like Craig snapping Vinny Magalhães' leg. Like before it went, he had to put a hell of a lot of force through it, and he readjusted. He went reverse figure 4. Like there was still, you know, yes, he snapped the leg at the end, but just to get where someone would have normally tapped was still a lot of force. There's still, you know, there's a bit of a rip on it. So these submissions don't just come on like that unless they're perfectly caught, and it just so happens that it works out that way. But yeah, looking back, and I think there's a lot of things that could have been improved upon, but it gave me some confidence as well in like you can really level the playing field quite a lot with the
Yeah.
entanglements. And then I worked on that for a fair while afterward. And then following that, just started to add other aspects of my game. And then I felt I was a lot more well-rounded following that.
And that was on Classic. You can still watch that match. Yeah, Classic. You were 16 and you won that match, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I won that match. That was pretty sick.
16 or 17, I can't remember. Yeah, so I would have been 17.
Classic was a good competition. I didn't even
Yeah,
know
it was
where
cool.
went.
They were going to do another one, and I was going to compete against Vinny Pierce from base.
Oh, yes,
And then it
yeah.
just like fizzled out.
Yeah,
Like
it's been a classic.
they were like, they set a date, and then they're like, oh, all the administration have stuff on that day. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. And then they just like never messaged us again. But you know,
It seemed like a pretty cool competition idea.
Yeah, it was Tom. Was he
Tom,
the
Tom,
organizer?
yeah,
Yeah,
Tom.
yep.
He owns a gym now. Yeah, man. Okay, so on to now. Oh, actually, one last question, yeah, because this was a good one. Because you started early, yeah. It's quite interesting because you started early, and usually you find people that started early, they develop these movements and they don't watch instructionals, yeah.
Yep.
Because like like Mika, like just such good movement, yeah. Did you find that starting early benefited you at all in terms of like you don't calculate as much risk, you're willing to throw, your body knows how to move better, you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah, I have this. I've said this to a few people before. I think because you also hear a lot of people. It's always like, "I wish I started earlier," and I think that makes sense if you started at like 30. But for me, you know, there was one point where I was like, "Bro, I should have started at 5." Like those kids competing. I was like, "He started at 5. I started at 7, man. Of course he's gonna like he's got 2 years on me." But I do look at it now, and I'm like, I was pretty bad until like 14 at least. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow, yeah.
I was, you know, I would do well, but I didn't understand. Like, I couldn't comprehend jiu-jitsu properly. And so I think for most people, it's just if you started as a kid, you have the benefit of you just kind of were brought up with these movements.
Yeah.
You know, during development, you were used to doing jiu-jitsu. So when I hit that, you know, early mid-teens,
Yeah.
when I could think about what was happening and I could take it from a much more cognitive perspective.
You already had a good foundation.
Yeah, it was easy. Like, I understood how to move. You know, I could pick up techniques a lot quicker. I could just do rounds. And like you said, I just had a lower injury risk because I was just used to, like, protecting myself instinctually.
Yeah.
You know, how to move to not get my head caved in. And, like, these things were just easier. So I could up the amount of training, the intensity of training, could pick techniques up quicker. Everything was just a lot easier because I started early. So I think whether I started at 5 or 8 or 9, it wouldn't have mattered as long as I had some amount of time doing jiu-jitsu before I reached a period in my life when I was able to, like, you know, improve in a much faster way. But having said that, you got some of those like AOJ kids.
Oh
and
my
shit that are
god,
just
bro!
like.
Ace Mendez, you see him pulling like X.
So I guess that kind of blows my thing out of the water. You know, like maybe they don't comprehend exactly the conceptual, you know, background of the things they're doing, but they have them drilling some crazy. I have always thought like they're doing something special with those kids because they create some
100%.
killers, man.
Yeah.
So
They just have lack any type of fear inhibition, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? It's like with an adult, you try to show them like, oh no adult's doing a jumping arm bar because you know you're like I'm gonna land on my head, get concussed, and I think people that's happened to, but when you're a kid, you don't really think like that. You're just like, oh, and then when you stack it, you just get back up and you're like, yeah, let's do it
Yeah.
again. It was fun.
and I wonder like maybe those kids benefit from starting at 5 instead of 7, bro. You know, 'cause, like,
Yeah.
So, but I think for the average person, you know, it probably doesn't matter. But
Yes, sir.
I think there is some benefit to starting early.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so just we'll do a sign out. So you're doing physio.
Yep.
Yeah, going to be finished next year.
Indeed.
If people want to train with you, where do they go?
Hoya Martial Arts at Springfield.
Yeah, what days are you there?
Monday, Wednesday nights.
And what are you teaching there?
Teach wrestling 5:30 on Mondays, jiu-jitsu, no-gi 6:45, and then 6:45 no-gi on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, and then you also have an Instagram page where you put out your roles. Yes.
BJJ technician. I got to start that again. I've been a little bit hiatus, but there's like 80 roles up there. So
Honestly, if anyone wants to see good roles and good techniques and like just see pretty much pick up anything, go follow that channel or follow that Instagram page. Really good. Very underrated. Yeah. And then we'll have to do a roll sometime. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Maybe one.
Right now.
No.
Take your jacket
Maybe no. Sure. But maybe one Wednesday you come in and we can film it and we're like, that'd be cool. But no, man, we appreciate coming in today.
Sounds good.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
fellas.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Oh,
man.
strong grip.
I don't know.
Hey, okay.
Yours is definitely not as
No, I
strong.
need to get stronger.
I've been telling him that, but
Sweet, man. It's actually sick.